Hi there, welcome to Outdoor Gear Chat. This is episode 39, or romping in on 40, Cathy, romping in. This is endurance sport nutrition. Will it stay down? As always, I'm joined by Cathy. Hi, all right?
Hi Wayne, I'm Cathy Casey, director and co-owner of the Climate Shop in Ambleside and the Joe Brown shops in Llanberis and Capel Curig. And we have a fantastic guest with us today. We're talking about obviously endurance sport nutrition. So our guest has a BSc in sports science and physiology, so definitely knows what he's on about. Definitely uses the product as well, because we have Voom brand manager and Team GB triathlete Beau Smith with us today. Welcome, Beau.
Hi, Cathy. Hi, Wayne. Thanks for having me along. It's a pleasure to be here and looking forward to getting into the topics and talking all things nutrition.
As am I, mate. Yeah, no, I guess we've met a few times at various events that I do commentary on, and I've been really pleased to welcome you in very, very high up the rankings on some of those events, shall we say. I'll leave it there. But I'm also delighted to speak to you because I've got to make a declaration up front. I've been using your product for quite a while, but the Pocket Rocket bars, absolutely love the lemon lime one, and the hydrate stuff is just brilliant for me as well for a number of reasons. The reason your product works so well for me in comparison to others is I always have gut issues, to say the least. So I've got gluten intolerance, wheat intolerance, and I find the hydrate product and the Pocket Rocket bars in particular, the lemon lime one in particular, just dead easy for me to stomach. And that is, I guess, what's involved in some of that. Can you geek us up on some of the some of why that's so gentle?
Yeah, well, thanks for the comments. It's great to hear they're doing what we intended them to. The whole range is developed on palatability and stomach comfort. So yeah, we want a function, but we want people to enjoy the products and it to be kind to the stomach. With the Pocket Rockets, first off, because that's where the whole brand is launched from, the Pocket Rocket range. Those three little bars was the beginning of Voom, really. And the concept is the fact that it's in solid form instead of energy gels, but a melt in the mouth texture is still easy and effective, fast acting sugar. But you can break down those pieces and use them as and when you need. And that dosing of the energy intake avoids a large whack of carbs hitting the stomach in one go, which is often what causes that stomach upset. So if the stomach gets a big dose of carbohydrate in one go, the body recognizes that and draws in water to dilute it to help with the absorption. But that is actually what can ironically lead to the stomach discomfort, feelings of bloating, or yeah, if we're running, then sloshing around. And then yeah, with the hydrate, we know the body can absorb liquids more quickly when there's both electrolytes and some glucose in there. So it's not a high glucose drink, but it's got the electrolytes to replenish what you're losing. And it's got a little bit of cluster dextrin as well, which is a carbohydrate, but it also has been shown to accelerate stomach emptying. So the liquid moves on from the stomach more quickly into the small intestine to actually be absorbed. So yeah, it's with those two products, that's kind of how we can help people enjoy the product comfortably.
And I guess that with the Pocket Rocket as well, like the feedback that I have with loads of people that I've done coaching stuff with is the texture's brilliant, and that ability, like you say, is it 4 or 5 chunks in a bar, and then you can break those down and just have a nibble as you go along. But it's sort of, using a local analogy, I guess it's Kendall mint cake type in texture. So like you say, it dissolves in your mouth, but the flavors are amazing as well, aren't they? It's just I really like that. It's yeah.
Yeah, we get
It's
that a lot about the texture. We were just up at the Skyline Scotland event last weekend, and so many people from across the UK, they try it for the first time. They go, "Oh, it's like Kendall mint cake, but none of the mint." So the
yeah,
flavors in the bars are from freeze dried fruit, so we get those
yeah,
those zesty tastes in there. And
yeah.
yeah, it happily shares a glucose base, so it kind of melts in the mouth, and that actually helps with the absorption. Some of the glucose can get into the bloodstream through the gums, so that kind of bypasses the stomach, again helping the stomach comfort go.
What you're saying about the absorption through the gums is really interesting, because I had one of my Lakeland 50s. I'd overdosed on watermelon, basically.
Right.
I'd eaten one slice and it just hit the spot. And then I realized I'd had 5 slices, and it completely messed my stomach up, understandably.
Yeah.
But I managed to get out of that by just getting some it's Cumbrian beef jerky, actually, and I could not stomach anything at all, not even a dry peanut. So I just shoved that up, some of the jerky up in my gum, because it was salty, and B, I was like, well, I can't eat anything, but at least I'm getting some form of goodness in me, because I was feeling pretty empty. So I'm really pleased there is some science behind that you can absorb stuff through your gum. I'm not sure what I absorbed through beef jerky, but it solved the situation enough that I managed to finish, which I was really pleased.
Yeah, delicious taste for one thing. That's probably what you've absorbed first and foremost, and that's the secret to it, really, finding things that you enjoy taking.
Yeah.
And that saltiness as well, I guess, is probably something that's gone and done a bit of a balance somewhere there, hasn't it? So I've got overexcited as always with a subject that I really like, and let's roll it back a little bit. So yeah, like we said, you've got bars and the and the sort of the hydrate products, which are sort of they're not like the energy gels that a lot of people might be used to that they've been on the market for some time now. What do energy bars do that are different then? Is there any difference at all, or what's the purpose of energy bars, I guess?
Yeah, so the Pocket Rocket itself was developed literally as an alternative to energy gels. So Robin, our director, and Mary, who was head of product development at the time, they just had basically a passion to hate gels. So many people complaining. They've tried them themselves, stomach upset, they're messy. So the Pocket Rockets were born. But there's kind of, I guess, two types of energy bar. The more simple sugars, like the Pocket Rocket, that's all about fast acting energy, and that's on a par with an energy gel. The idea just being to get glucose into the blood as quickly as possible, really, to then get to the muscles. While you're working out, you're exercising, whether it's hiking, climbing, an ultra run, a shorter, faster distance event. The body uses carbs to kind of power those muscle contractions. That's kind of the primary energy source. And your carb stores become depleted over time. Your muscle glycogen depletes. There's glycogen stored in the liver, and that's kind of starts to be released, and that gets used. So it's really about replacing what you're using at the time. I guess the second kind of energy bar would be more of a sustained, slow release carb source. So that's usually oat based, or it may have dried fruits, those kind of things, and perhaps nuts and little bits of protein and fat as well, to kind of give you more of a holistic kind of energy source. The Pocket Rockets are, as I say, simple sugars. So we use maltodextrin in there, and raw cane sugar, which people can say, oh, too many sugars is bad for you, but it's all about when you use it. If you're using it during kind of some intense or prolonged activity, that's when you need it.
Yeah, and you've got almost, it's not quite a traffic light system, but there is a system on your packaging, isn't there, that denotes when the best time is within your exercise cycle to use the different products. That's really interesting too.
Yeah, so we just use it's a small graphic really highlighting the best times to use each of the products, whether it's pre, during for a boost, or post-workout for recovery. The Pocket Rockets, we kind of got 3 different variants with slightly different ingredients in. So they're all energy, obviously, but then so like the Electro Energy Bar is kind of my go-to for during. That replaces electrolytes. The Beta Blast has beta-alanine, which buffers against lactic acid. It does have a small amount of caffeine as well. So that's kind of, we recommend that for pre-race or pre-workout, especially if it's going to be high intensity. And then the caffeine kick, which is a bit of a secret weapon for a lot of people, that packs 175 milligrams of caffeine in the whole bar. So that's kind of, we recommend that for towards the end, or if you need a boost for a specific tough part of the course that's coming up.
That'd send me insane. I've always avoided that one for that reason, because I think I once took a gel that was packed with caffeine, and yeah, it was just, I don't know what happened, but my head wasn't a pleasant space anyway. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some stories.
Yeah.
I've got visions of your legs just doing the cartoon Blur, and you just like taking off.
Well, yeah, yeah. I think that's what I imagined was happening, but it wasn't. It wasn't fully. I guess as you're suggesting there, Beau, it got me to the end anyway. But that was yeah. I'm not sure what state I was in by then. Well, I was in a bad state when I took it anyway. But so the bars that you've just recently introduced as well. Then are they more like the energy bar, the beetroot and dark chocolate and so on? Are they more the slow burn stuff? Are those whereabouts do you fit those as far as fueling?
Yeah, So the purpose of them is kind of twofold. So yeah, they're an energy bar. It's more sustained energy than the pocket rockets. So we kind of recommend it for more prolonged ultra or long days out. So there's energy in there from oats. There are some more simple sugars, faster acting from the freeze-dried fruit that we use and the beetroot. But all three bars are based on the benefits of beetroot for improving blood flow, and that's through the dietary nitrates that are naturally occurring within beetroot. So there's approximately one whole raw beet in each bar, and that is the research on that kind of suggests that it's a pre-workout type thing. So if you consume some dietary nitrates, there's approximately 200 milligrams of dietary nitrates per bar. You're going to get a peak in your blood nitrite levels 2 to 3 hours later, and that improves blood flow through vasodilation of the capillaries. So there's more blood flow basically to your muscles to help you contract, work out, run, bike, climb, whatever it is. So I sometimes use them before a race, or sometimes if I'm training kind of in the morning and I just want something light to eat, I use it as kind of a snack bar there if I'm not really up for a full breakfast, and then I'll maybe have a proper breakfast after I've swam or run or whatever it is. So yeah, they're quite versatile, and then yeah, we've got the three flavors to kind of try and suit all palates. So there's raspberry, there's the dark chocolate, and then there's a rhubarb and ginger, which is quite it's a stronger flavor, but a lot of people really enjoy that one.
Like a bit tangy, yeah, sort of tangy, spicy style, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I think if you're on an endurance event, sometimes I find I just need a different taste just to I don't know, to not alleviate the boredom, but just to engage my brain. So yeah, that kind of just perhaps a strange taste, trying to alternate between salty things and sugary things or sweet things, and then throwing something completely random in there can just often psychologically just perk you up as well, I think.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. People want, become tired of the same flavors or just sick of sweet things. So yeah, the beetroot bars are kind of sweet, but nowhere near on the level of the pocket rocket. And that's also kind of led us to another product, which I'm sure we'll come on to, which is our savory energy drink called Sparta Fuel, which really was born out of, repeatedly hearing people say, "Oh, I can't do any more sweet things" when I've been out there for 6, 8, 10 hours or even multi-day events.
Yeah, we've got, I guess, go into that now. All I was just going to say on the sort of the bar front versus pocket rockets is sometimes you want something a bit more foody, don't you? A bit more solid that you're going to be able to chew on rather than a gel, which is just, particularly if on endurance events, I want something that's going to feel like it's filling my tummy, for want of a better phrase. And the sort of flapjacky stuff definitely does that for me. But yeah, go on to the new product for us now, Beau, if you wouldn't mind, have a chat about that. So is that the tomato and red pepper one?
Yeah, so there's more flavors in the pipeline, but initially we've gone with the tomato and red pepper. It's a savory product because it's designed for ultra and even multi-day events. We've packed in 49 grams of carbs, but also 12 grams of protein into a serve, and that it comes as a powder that you just mix up into your bottle, your flask, soft flask, whatever. And that's kind of based on some research that came out showing a ratio of 4-to-1 carbs to protein is actually optimal for real endurance, prolonged exercise. We also have got a little bit of fat in there, which comes from coconut MCTs. So that's medium chain triglycerides, because, when the body's working out for prolonged periods, the intensity is not always as high. The body will be burning fat in addition to the carbs that we keep talking about. And then we've also got some other ingredients in there, some amino acids. L-glutamine in particular has been shown to reduce fatigue markers in the body. So that's going to be really important when you're packing multi-day, back-to-back days, sorry. And then we've got some electrolytes in there as well to replace what the body's kind of sweating out and losing as salts.
Sorry, I'm just engrossed in the ingredient list on it now. Just while you were talking, I was looking at it. So there's it's interesting, isn't it, with stuff like pea protein and chickpea that's going into there to sort of, I guess, are those like bulking it up, for want of a better phrase, and giving the protein.
They've got a really good balance of carbs and protein in there, and we particularly looked for vegan friendly sources of protein so that we could make sure it was an option for vegan runners to use as well. plant protein is increasingly becoming an important area in the sports nutrition market.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I can't remember. I was talking a while ago to the guy who operates Kendamil yeah, the milk, the baby milk stuff out through in Kendal, and they were using pea protein in quite a lot of the stuff that they were developing as well. Sorry, just isn't it a complete aside, a complete random. So yeah, you've mentioned loads of different sort of different bits and pieces through describing ingredients and stuff there, but the one that really sort of tops the list and piques my interest is taurine, for all sorts of reasons, I guess. But what just describe why you add stuff in like taurine, or was it beta alanine?
Beta alanine. What is
Yeah.
that, and why is it there? Because it's not names that I would regularly.
So beta alanine is essentially it's an amino acid, which is a building block for proteins. But within the body, it actually causes an increase in muscle carnosine. And carnosine is actually something that helps buffer against lactic acid. So absorbs the hydrogen ions, which kind of prevents some of that acidity building up in the muscles. So that's kind of where beta alanine comes in. Back to your point, Wayne, on the taurine. So that I think the only product we have that in is the caffeine kick bar. And it's been shown to work alongside caffeine. They kind of work as a duo in reducing fatigue and perceptions of fatigue and tiredness. And also stabilizing the heart rate a little bit, because caffeine is known to slightly elevate the heart rate. So they kind of work in harmony in that way. We don't actually use taurine in any of our other products. It's just kind of in there with the caffeine.
And is there anything else along those lines within the products that's probably worth explaining? For example, is there?
It's not probably a miracle, but in quite a few of our products we use B vitamins, and that's because that's again been shown to help reduce tiredness and fatigue, and it also helps in functioning of energy metabolism. So that's breaking down the carbs within the body to actually produce muscle contractions. So yeah, we have B vitamins in a few of the drinks and the bars as well.
Just going down the list of.
I know, yeah. Well, it is, and I'm a bit behind the scenes for our listeners. We obviously prepare. Cathy does a really good job of preparing a list of questions, but normally I just ask dumb questions as they go along, and I think my mind's racing with all the stuff that
I know,
I'm
mine's
dead
on
interested.
I want to learn more about the science.
Yeah.
All the cool stuff. I want to visualize the muscle contractions. All of these ingredients are actively.
Exactly. I've gone.
Yeah, we need a PowerPoint presentation alongside this one, don't we?
Excellent. I've gone properly off topic. Yeah. I guess.
No, I think it's great. If you guys want to know the answers to these questions and this is what you guys think about, then I'm sure that the listeners are gonna pique their interest. And I enjoy talking about it.
and that, to be honest, I think that's why we enjoy doing it the way we do, for exactly that reason. So I guess. You mentioned earlier on about sort of hydration and some of the gels and their impact upon the gut, but I guess the ones about hydration alongside energy products generally, or if you're doing endurance events, because I know there's loads of marketing witchcraft that goes into how many gels you should have per hour and so on. But I guess for me, I'm always focused on it's multi-hour stuff that I use these sort of products on. But so how important is hydration alongside stuff like energy gels or foods?
It's a really big area, and I think people are aware of it. And they think, I need to hydrate. How well they do that kind of varies a lot depending on different circumstances. But in terms of energy, hydration is really important in being able to absorb the energy. As the body dehydrates, the stomach and the gut doesn't absorb energy and carbs anywhere near as efficiently. And that is kind of, if you're on a strategy to use 2 gels every hour, or you're taking 60 grams of carbs, or whatever your strategy is, if you don't take sufficient fluids and electrolytes alongside that to keep a good level of hydration, that kind of sits in the stomach longer, and that's when the gut kind of starts to get upset because you're not absorbing it as well. So we kind of recommend you should be taking 400 to 800 milliliters of fluid an hour. That's obviously a big range, but it kind of depends a lot on the individual, your sweat rate, the conditions, and how long you're going for. If you're, doing 2 or 3 hours, you can kind of afford to become a little bit dehydrated. through that. If you're going to be going for 12 hours, if after 3 hours you're starting, to dehydrate, then you're going to be in for a tough day. And symptoms of dehydration, as it becomes more severe, you'll start to get headaches and bits of dizziness, perhaps even nausea as it gets worse, which again, that you're then going to struggle to take on your energy or even further fluids. You'll grind to a halt at some point. And yeah, severe dehydration, obviously collapse and worse.
Yeah, and Cathy and I both nodding knowingly as you're going through that list from bitter experience.
Well, just reminiscing about the time I had to jump up and down on a molehill to convince my friend on the spine that he wasn't particularly dehydrated. I think this was more probably just
sleep deprived
exhaustion from being on the go. But he was convinced there was a bird. He's like, "What is that bird? I've never seen it before, but it's black and white and it looks familiar." I'm like, "Mate, there is no bird." I ended up having to like jump up and down on the molehill and like, "Look, there's nothing here."
There's nothing there.
Absolutely convinced. He was perfectly cognitive. He was perfectly with it, but which was why it took me completely off guard. I was support van for him, and I was like, "Oh, okay, let's have a sit down and have some more water."
The body's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
And I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, that we start feeling sick, we start feeling nauseous. And then you don't want to drink, you don't want to eat, and that it's just that negative cycle. And I guess, yeah, in a lot of events, quite often the best thing to do probably is to have a sit down, have a drink, a cup of tea, have something to eat, and then get on with doing. Well, if you have the option to do that, he says.
That's part of the if you're doing an endurance race, isn't it? That's a really key skill set to have to be able to see that, recognize that in yourself, and to have the wherewithal just to like, right, the best thing to do now is to stop and to rest and to have that chat with yourself before sort of picking yourself up and moving on, hydrating, eating, going right back to basics, making sure you're warm, and then starting out again. I don't quite know if that's the same at elite level, Beau. I know you've just recently done an Ironman. Did you find yourself at any point going around your Ironman where you had to have some serious chats with yourself?
Oh yeah. And I'd be surprised if there's many people out there at any level who don't get to that point at some stage in an Ironman event. It's for the best. It might be 7.5 hours, or it might be 17 hours. Yeah, I kind of, which is probably bad to say coming from the background I do, but I think slightly got my nutrition wrong during the run leg. Just kind of left it a little bit too long between taking on enough carbs. So I was happy I nailed my hydration. I didn't really suffer with any cramps or feeling dehydrated. But it was amazing how quickly things can kind of unravel when that blood glucose level just starts to dip. And at first you're not so aware of it. And then when it hit, in the space of 4 or 5 minutes, I went from ticking along nicely, kind of just about on my target pace that I'd kind of worked towards. And I just ground to a halt and was walking, and I felt like I couldn't see clearly. Things were going a bit fuzzy, and I think I was about 22k of the run, with obviously 20k still left to run. I thought there's no way I can make it through this, and I just kind of kept putting one foot in front of the other. And I guess I wasn't thinking quite clearly, because it took me 5 minutes of walking and the penny kind of dropped that I should eat something. I'm getting low on carbs. So I had a piece of the caffeine kick, and I actually left it in the gum, thinking that some of it would absorb more quickly, as we mentioned earlier, especially with the caffeine as well. And I just kind of walked for probably another 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden, I looked up and I can see clearly now. I'm okay, I'm good. And I set off jogging, and a couple of minutes, and I was pretty much back to the pace I'd been holding before the whole episode. Yeah, I'm convinced that's purely blood glucose levels, and they recovered. And then I carried on taking the pieces of caffeine at kind of at intervals, and I was okay again. But yeah, I guess it's sometimes, as you say, about taking the time to stop and take stock of things at any level. Wasting, in inverted commas, 5 or 10 minutes now might save you a lot more down the line. Or you might plow through the aid station thinking, oh, I'm going to save 5 minutes here, and it can cost you half an hour or an hour later when you're forced to a halt. Perhaps away from an aid station, it becomes more difficult to refuel, and Yeah.
Yeah,
and
really.
I guess that's exactly where I was at. Sorry, Kathy, go on.
No, I was just to say really, really important stuff. And I think both of us are nodding like, yeah.
Yeah,
in
been there, yeah.
in my at the other end of the race plan, which is very much my area, which is right, I'm going to eat my way from station to station. And as long as I get in a minute before the cut-off time, I'm a winner. It's really interesting to hear that, that thought process and starting off and just like, oh, I'll burn through this aid stage, a bit of a queue here, I'll carry on, and then suddenly it catches up with you, and you can it is literally kind of a stitch in time saves nine, really, isn't it? It's pulling yourself up.
The wheels falling off, and that process of going through, like you describe, I can literally picture your eyes going fuzzy from inside my head, going, I've been there before, or again, you're ticking along, oh yeah, I feel great, and then you're like, oh no, I don't feel so great now, and that it feels like an instant, doesn't it? But it's that slow depletion of everything that's going on inside you. That
absolutely, yeah.
So is the reason, sorry, Wayne,
go on.
One of the sort of questions I was thinking about, the products with caffeine and guarana they are labeled showing exactly how much of that product is within, or how much of that ingredient is within the product. Is that because of the vasodilation effect and the heart rate, the change to heart rate potentially that can be caused by those two ingredients?
Yeah, so it's kind of more so on the caffeine, although guarana does kind of contain some caffeine. But yeah, the caffeine is kind of it's not recommended to have more than 400 milligrams per day. And then obviously there's labeling, shouldn't be used really by under 16s or pregnant ladies. But the effect, it's a diuretic. So if you have it in high doses, it can actually dehydrate you by, it's going to cause you're going to get the urge to urinate. And the raise in heart rate is the other kind of thing if you have a lot of caffeine in one go. So that's just kind of why there's labeling on there to kind of try and help people use it effectively.
And what is guarana? It seems it's a bit of a mystery one, that one. I keep seeing it up and about, but I don't actually know what it is.
I believe it comes from the berry of a plant, and it has a very similar effect to caffeine in that elevating the heart rate. And so it's kind of another source of caffeine.
Okay, cool. That explains why they're both labeled.
Yes.
So we've been talking a lot about high energy foods. Actually, that important point about caffeine, no under 16s. If you go into any motorway service station, or indeed a lot of convenience stores, there are reams and reams of Monster drinks and Red Bull drinks and caffeine based energy drinks. And obviously what we're talking about here are energy foods that are designed specifically for high activity, as opposed to just a walk. Is there a time when you shouldn't use high energy foods? Or I suppose my question is, we all need to be aware of the amount of calories we're taking on and how that affects our bodies, but these foods are so finely tuned from what you've described, working for the body when it's in a high output mode. Is there a time where we shouldn't use high energy foods?
So, if you're kind of on a more sedentary day in your kind of schedule, that shouldn't really be necessary. Although they might be a tasty snack because we've tried to make them taste good. There's kind of the simple sugars in there are going to cause an insulin response, and there's kind of obviously a lot of research about that. So we do recommend that they're kind of used in a balanced way around the active lifestyle. If you're training for something and you're on a recovery day between sessions, you may want to use some of the products to top up protein or top up carbs. Personally, I'd stay away from the pocket rockets when it's when I'm not during or just before an event, and kind of focus on more real foods on those lower days, low intensity days. I guess in terms of looking at obesity, that's around calories in, calories out. The good energy sources for during, when we need to elevate carb intake to replace what we're using. On days where you've got a lower calorie burn, they're probably not really necessary on those days.
Is that more of a recovery fudge day? Because that's a stroke of genius as far as I'm concerned. The recovery fudge, it's like, oh, I've had a really good day out, I think I'll treat myself to some recovery fudge.
Yeah, there's obviously a bit of a indulgence and it's a bit of a treat for after you've done something. If you just want in on a non-training day to boost your protein intake, it can be a way to do that. So there's 10 grams of protein in a serving. And yeah, like you say, it's a bit of a nice treat for after you've done something.
And that does go down a treat as well. Like, yeah, speaking to everyone that sampled it in various ways, it is for me normally 1 cube is about enough. I think I have an amazingly sweet tooth, but I need to restrict myself on that otherwise.
Oh
And
no,
then,
you
I
need to
guess
work on that, Wayne.
need to up my intake. Well, I was going to ask about the protein shake because I'm rubbish at post event or post workout, I guess, recovery stuff, and just tend to go and eat chips and ice cream is my standard Beau. So that's setting that's setting your benchmark. But yeah, where does that fit for you? Do you always use like recovery shakes and stuff after doing stuff?
Well, yeah, it sounds like you're halfway there with your chips and ice cream. You're getting the carbs on board, so that's kind of half the battle.
Big tick.
Yeah, yeah. So both our recovery products, the Recover Fudge and then the Rapid Recovery Shake, they kind of do a very similar function to each other. They've got a balance of carbs in there, which replaces the glycogen stores in the body, and the protein, which helps with the muscular repair and reducing muscle soreness, because that kind of micro damage you do to your muscles while you're working out. Where possible, I try to use one or the other after any kind of either long or intense session, and it kind of depends on what's most practical. If I'm running from home and get back home, then I probably go for a shake because I tend to mix that with milk. It can be mixed with water, but that's kind of good for the calcium and the extra protein in the milk alongside the shake. If you're kind of out on the go, then a bar of the Recover Fudge is kind of an easy alternative. And then, yeah, try and get some hydration on as well, because as hard as we try, we invariably will probably have some level of dehydration after any significant exercise.
Cool. I'm going to derail all the good chat about sports nutrition that we've just gone through and say that Voom Hydrate, if chilled, makes an exceptional accompaniment to vodka. And also, with a hangover, it also does a really good job of helping you recover from a hangover. So, tested extensively.
Don't try this at home. This is Wayne's personal.
It is my personal thing, but yeah, it's absolutely brilliant with vodka. Anyway, sorry, derailing all the sports nutrition chat that we just gone through.
You're not the first, Wayne. We've had a couple of people, say they rely on it for a hangover cure if they've had have had a good session the night before. Then that kind of, and the science, it makes sense. Get the electrolytes on board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not personally tried it as an accompaniment to vodka, but watch this space.
Yeah. It's good, yeah. So I think we asked all our proper questions.
I think we should probably end on that bombshell.
Wrap it up there. So sales of Voom Hydrate will be going through the roof now, just for that reason. Oh yeah, I heard it's a miracle hangover cure. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that has been amazing, Beau. It's brilliant to chat to you. Really enjoyed that. Thank you. Yeah, cracking insight into sports nutrition, and it's made a few pennies drop for me as well on various things. I do need to place an order very soon. Anyway, but thank you. That was episode what were we up to?
Episode 39.
Episode 39. It was 39. I was questioning myself. Yeah, that was all about sports nutrition.
Yeah, last thing from me, just a big thank you for having me on, and it's been great to talk about the products and different strategies, and hopefully the listeners find it interesting and informative.
I'm sure they will. Yeah, it was great, Beau. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, thanks very much, Beau. You can see the range of Voom products that we sell. They are available on our shop website at www.climbers-shop.com. And we also have a host of free information and links on our sister website, www.joebrownoutdooracademy.com.